Question and answers. The first question from our Facebook post was from Kevin Davis. I normally run in a Stability Brooks GTS, but have also run in a neutral shoe with no issues. Are they suitable for me? Because I'd love to try a pair.
I think this is the second take on the Q&A, because the last one, we literally can talk about this all day. There's so many external factors you need to take into consideration. My personal opinion on this, it's all about if you're going from a rigid high density shoe, meaning how firm is the midsole, to something this soft. I think there needs to be gradual change. Obviously we haven't had problems in neutral in the past. I think this, if we take anything away from this, you have to try your shoes on in the shop. Try them on, see how they feel, because shoes are so specific these days. I might like a pair, Tom doesn't.
I mean, I put them on and immediately I knew that these wouldn't be a shoe that I was going to train in. You know, I just don't feel stable enough in this shoe to train in it. So again, I picked that up almost immediately, just walking around in our clinic environment. So certainly try them. You have the 2% and the 4% available also, which may give you a little bit more stability, a little bit sort of less of a transition or a jump, if you like. So yeah, it's very difficult to answer. I don't think you can do mass mileage in them, because I just don't think they're going to last that long considering the price point on this shoe. But certainly, yeah, I don't see why you wouldn't try it.
I'm currently wearing the 2%, and I still feel like...
Is that because you're from West Wales?
No, just yes, maybe so. I didn't want to spend 250 quid. I don't feel like with my distances I could transition into this shoe, but if I was going to, this would be a performance shoe, it wouldn't be a training shoe. I think that's the one thing we take away.
I think racing.
Yeah,
racing
it's
over
a racing
mileage.
shoe.
Brilliant. Question from Martin Strava. I used to get shin splints until Gareth sorted me out with orthotics.
Nice plug there for myself.
I stockpiled pairs of Asics shoes, but the orthotics, which the orthotics were designed for. But I'm about to retire my last pair. I want to try the Nike 4%, but I don't want to return to shin problems. What should my considerations be? Oof, that's a tough one, isn't it?
Yes, I think the first things first, we need to speak about the symptoms you are getting. Obviously, the shin discomfort. First of all, if you have rehabilitated yourself and if that tissue has now got the capacity, I don't see anything wrong with maybe looking to change your shoes. I personally don't understand stock-in trainers. Obviously, if you've got 12 pairs in your house now and now these new shoes come back, you're not going to put them aside.
Again, you know, it's difficult when you're talking about specific injury to patients, because there's so many factors to consider. You know, I think if you're running pain-free now with the shin, there's a good chance that you've strengthened that tissue so it can cope with those forces. However, changing to this shoe may alter those forces, so there is a risk that you might end up creating a problem. But again, there's just too many factors to consider, really.
And diving into the biomechanics element of it, we've spoken about how unstable the upper is and how soft the shoes is. That's something that, especially with medial tibial stress syndrome, is something you're going to take in as a considerative.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because of the mobility of the foot aspect. So I think it's a difficult one. I think it's an interesting one that, by all means, you could come into the clinic, we can have a look at these things. The big thing about it is having a look at where the symptoms are now and where your running is. Obviously, absolutely. You can improve within a year.
Brilliant. Okay, next question from David Parry. What body weight would be ideal for this type of shoe?
After going away and having a look online about this, I've changed my thoughts. Originally, Nike say on some of their literature online, they're targeting a body weight of 77 to 88. How that figure has been gained by them, I don't know. Obviously, we can only look at the athlete that wore these. Yeah. And
well, what is he, 58?
58. So I think
52 kilograms, which, well, is about half my body weight. Well, it's not, I'm not that heavy, but
obviously almost. The lighter the athlete, the less stress on the shoe. I think that's something you've got to take away. But I know we have patients and you have friends who are over 100 kilograms who feel like they get more feedback. And from the research, it does say
the heavier you are, the more energy return you get. You know, I have friends that are over 100 kilograms who are running very fast half marathons, and their opinion on this shoe is the faster they go, the more returns they get. I wore it for 15-20 minutes in a clinical environment, and I just felt really unstable. So there we go. I think the lighter the better, personally.
Yeah, Nike, the figures they put out is 77 to 88.
Next question from Joe Blackman. Can you add custom orthoses into the shoes, and what's the build quality like? I've had a couple of pair of Nike running shoes before, and I find that they lag behind Asics when it comes to overall quality and comfort of shoe.
Let's zoom into the orthotic question first of all. It is something we get asked a lot by our patients. I think because of the narrow nature and the upper, and if we do pull the in-bed out,
that's glued in.
They are glued. They are very thin. It is difficult to fit anything in.
I think for me, if you get an angle of that, but it's how narrow it is across the throat of the shoe here. And I think when you look at traditional orthotic design and therapy, they tend to be sort of wider, or at least in line with the rest of the device at that point. So where these come in like a waist, if you like, I think that makes it very difficult actually to put an orthotic in this shoe, unless it's been made specifically for this shoe. I just don't think you can take it out of your pair of Asics and put it into this shoe, because again of that almost waist-like shape to the middle of the shoe. So can it be done? Yes, it can. But can you put your your orthotic that you have for a shoe right now from a different brand into this? I personally don't think you can. I just think for one, if it's a hard device, you're going to rip through the upper, because it just doesn't fit the shoe properly. And
if you've got any heel raises or anything, that heel grip which actually keeps the foot in quite nicely, you could be sitting a little bit high and you'd lose the advantage of that also.
Yeah. Going to build quality, it's a lovely shoe. It's the one concern I would have is how thin the upper is. I don't know how long it's going to last. The other issue I have is the lack of rubber through the rear foot. Because you don't have that on the heel, there is a chance that you're going to end up just ripping through the foam. Next question from William Seagrim. What does the carbon plate actually do? Well, I think jump into the research.
Yeah.
And it actually adds, apparently, a 1% reduction in energy cost. In essence, what it does is it stiffens the shoe and creates a rocker through the forefoot, which is where you gain that energy efficiency.
Yeah, it is a rigid lever. You're pushing against a firmer force. The one characteristic I do like of the shoe is how rigid it is. I think that would help most athletes.
I think that's where you get that leverage and your energy return from. I think whenever you look at carbon fibre, it's all about energy return. But the interesting bit again for this is that it only adds 1%. The rest apparently comes from the foam itself. The next question is from Paul Cooper. Do you think that footwear construction can actually offer athletes a time advantage in running events? If so, should this be regulated by the World Athletic Committee? Cheers.
I think when you look at other sports, equipment, I'll use golf as a great example, it's all set, so they're all playing in the same field, but there is different brands. So obviously, it is a really difficult one. I do think there needs to be a spec that footwear companies need to follow. Otherwise, you're going to be athletes penalised for being sponsored by other brands.
I think, personally, I think the risk of, stopping companies trying to create is that you're going to lose innovation, and I think innovation is so important in anything. I think it's exciting. I think innovation keeps us excited about different products, and I think you take innovation out of it, I just don't know how you can ever progress within anything from an equipment point of view at that then. So I think more than anything, it's just a wake-up call for other brands. I think it's time that the other brands start innovating and spending as much on innovation as Nike. And I think as long as it's widely available to every athlete, I don't see why it should be banned.
I think the one ruling that I took from looking into this was the shoe has to be available to the Joe public within a year. Will this Alpha Fly, I know it's not the one in front of us, but will that shoe be available? I think with all of the hype and all of the discussion and the investigations into it, it is going to be very interesting to see how this case does unfold for the other brands as well.
Yeah.
My sub question to you, Tom, I'm going to put you on the spot here, is would this shoe, if it was Nike, be in the limelight? If it was less of a bigger brand commercially?
No, it's, there's probably shoes equivalent to this from a functional point of view already out there, but they don't have the Nike marketing wheel behind them. They're the best in the world, and that's why they're the biggest sports brand in the world. So, I think Nike are very, very clever with that. Okay, and the last question is from the real Joe Ham on Instagram. Does this shoe improve your running technique?
Well, it didn't improve yours, first of all.
Definitely not, no.
Go into the paper, it says it increases ankle efficiency because of the stiffness through that midfoot.
And into the forefoot, yeah.
And into the forefoot. Is that just the rigidity? Will that improve your...
I mean, again, going back to the point that you've just made about me, and not, if anything, making my technique potentially slightly worse. I think when you consider running technique, you're not just considering the contact phase of the gait cycle. You're not considering what your foot does on the floor. You're considering, your head position, arm position, your hip position, your stride length, your stride width. There's so many factors that contribute to running technique, and to suggest that a shoe can make alter those factors, I personally absolutely no, 100% not, in my opinion.
I probably agree with you there. There's so many external factors you'd have to look at.
I think it might improve your energy efficiency, according to this paper, but 100% doesn't improve your technique, in my opinion. But that's my opinion, just my opinion.
I think it'll be interesting over the next year to 2 years now with the weekend runner or the...
Me.
Yes, how their injuries will change because of this type of shoe. I'm
really interested to see what happens over the next, as this shoe becomes either potentially less expensive and more available. Yeah. I'm interested to see if our injury rates increase or decrease. Could be fascinating. So that about wraps it up for today. I have thoroughly enjoyed it. I found it fascinating. As much as I'm not a massive Nike man, I love looking into the shoe and the concept, and I think what it allows us to do is take this forward into our clinical environment and look at this shoe, but other shoes like it.
Yeah, obviously in the new year we are going to be launching a new treatment and service, looking into more sports specific stuff. So I think this has challenged us and made us look at our clinical environment now to how do we gain the best data possible for our patients and for our treatment.
So for more videos, for videos that we produced previously and for ones that we're going to produce from this point forward, click the link below, which will take you to our YouTube channel.